everyone. Welcome to the book study of the five self love languages. My name is Dolly, and I'm the author of this book. And I'm also a trauma recovery registered nurse professional working in California. I'm a holistic mental health life coach with over 2 decades of experience providing behavioral and mental health life coaching and counseling to families and individuals, specializing in childhood trauma recovery and codependency healing. So, self love is the answer to recover from your childhood trauma. And in this book, I will take you on a journey, on a spiritual, holistic, psychological healing journey that will help you navigate your present life and heal your past and fall in love with yourself, make progress, and create inner home with inner peace, purpose, self love. So, I will take you on this journey with me. Each week, we will read a chapter from the book. I will record a video for you, and you will read it from the book, watch the video, read the book, and then do the work. And by the end of this journey, you will have a lot more healing under your belt and a lot more forgiveness, compassion, the skills that are required to move forward in life and leave the childhood trauma in the past. So let us begin. First chapter is, why do we need the five self-love languages? Now, have you ever witnessed a woman who radiates unshakable self-confidence, authenticity, and fearlessness? A woman so deeply grounded in her worth and values, so committed to loving herself that she attracts abundance in every aspect of her life simply by existing in a soft bubble of self-love. But how? How does she have such abundant self love? And where did she learn to communicate this love to herself so beautifully? What is her language of self love? Now, the truth is that most of us were never taught to embrace self love. We rarely witnessed self love as children. Few of us are fortunate enough to have parents whose life force flows from a deep well of self love, allowing them to nurture both themselves and their children. But many of us grew up around adults who struggled to show us what it truly means to love and value and cherish ourselves. We grew up depleted of self love and disconnected from our own inherent self worth that we were born with. The fact is that humans are born with an innate, powerful drive to survive, a profound self preservation instinct rooted and nurtured by self love. It is this exact self love that fuels our determination to endure and triumph over even harshest adversities. Whether it's an infant surviving severe neglect with fierce resilience, a mother enduring grueling mental, emotional, physical conditions with unwavering hope, or a lone hiker stranded in the frozen wilderness. This inner strength propels us through the bleakest circumstances. Self love is the force that drives us to rise above challenges. Even when survival seems nearly impossible, the deeper our well of self love, the stronger our instinct to protect, preserve, provide for self. Self love empowers us to navigate life's storms with courage. Self love elevates us in moments of joy, nurtures us through the darkest times, and sustains us through the rough seasons of life. As adults, the primary source of our life force is self love. Yet, many of us have never even been taught how to speak the language of self love to ourselves. So, what happens when we truly cannot love ourselves? Simply put, lack of self love manifests as lack in all other aspects of our lives. Lack of self love makes us feel like we're emotionally homeless. With no anchor in life, we feel insecure, shameful, dependent on others for validation, acceptance, approval, and love. We learn to chase others for love, but we never learn to access the self love within us. We learn to abandon, ignore, and reject our own inner source of love. This makes us hyper attuned to others. We chase them as if they're our only source of love and sustenance. We change, we become overly giving, helpful, nice, always available to others, hoping to be needed, wanted, loved, or treated properly in exchange for our devotion to them. Expecting another's love to sustain us leads us to a fear of loss of their love and puts an undue emotional burden on the other to fulfill a job that is ours to do. We alter ourselves to become a person who we think will get love, approval, acceptance, validation from others because we believe we're not able to provide that for ourselves. We control and manipulate others to have access to their love, attention, affection. We suppress, ignore, reject our true self, molding ourselves into someone we believe is worthy of love, appreciation, honor, and celebration. We work very hard to feel loved, but in reality, we hurt because we don't know how to give and receive true love. The truth is that we hurt because of our inability to give the love we have inside of us to ourselves. The lack of true love and authentic connection with self and others makes us feel unworthy, shameful, unsafe, insecure, and fearful. This dynamic is very painful and draining emotionally, mentally, spiritually, especially because most of the time we are unaware that we are operating in this way. When we don't know the root cause of the pain, how do we resolve it? Throughout many years of working with clients who struggle with severe depression and anxiety, I realized that much of human suffering stems from our inability to access self love, provide it to ourselves, and graciously receive it from ourselves. This internal disconnection prevents us from healing and finding true emotional fulfillment. The emotional pain of love hunger and inability to access the love that lives deep within us is the root of spiritual chaos and reactivity we experience. When our emotional and spiritual need for love goes unmet, we become love starved, leading to a loss of control and reason. This love hunger makes us choose the wrong people and makes the wrong decisions. We are powerless over our inability to love ourselves properly and spend a lifetime chasing wrong people or trying to change others so we can feel loved. Subconsciously, many of us carry a deep sense of shame for not being able to love ourselves. We question our own worthiness and struggle with our inability to love ourselves. The shame stems from a belief that we are undeserving of our own love, attention, and care. As a result, we experience an inner turmoil that spills into our external lives, manifesting as chaos, disrupting our relationships and our peace of mind and our overall well being. We feel powerless in our lives because we are so helpless over our inability to meet our own need for love. We did not learn how to access, nurture our true love. The world taught us the five love languages, but nobody taught us how to love ourselves. Nobody taught us the languages of self love. We did not learn how to love ourselves, yet, the chief complaint of many of my clients is that others don't choose or love them properly or enough. People who lack self love are unable to choose and maintain healthy relationships with partners, friends. They find fault with others, failing to realize that what's lacking is their own foundation of self love upon which all other loving, safe, healthy, prosperous relationships are based. If you don't know how to love yourself, you are unable to establish a real, loving, intimate relationship and connection with another. Healthy relationships are a result of self love, not a result of loving another harder. And when we bring this lack of self love to the relationships, we are unable to show our partner how to love us. Those who lack self love are not able to receive love in relationships either. And then this wound of being unlovable gets deeper as we go through life, unable to give love to ourselves, chasing others for love, but receiving rejection and abandonment. When love does not reach us, it creates deep loneliness that hurts our soul. We set up our relationships for failure when we enter relationships with this wounding, expecting our partner's love to heal the wound of I am unlovable. The relationship suffers due to this burden and also because wounded people choose other wounded people to love. Lack of self love leads to self sabotage in all important aspects of life, such as career, health, relationships, because we believe we are not deserving. Self love fuels courage because it gives us unwavering faith that we will never abandon or betray ourselves. This deep faith in ourselves is the natural outcome of true self love. When we are rooted in self love, we honor our worth so deeply that even the idea of self betrayal becomes unthinkable. We love ourselves too much, we respect ourselves too much to ever compromise our integrity. Now, to heal, we have to accept that we didn't learn how to access self love. We did not learn to express love of self to self, and we did not learn how to accept love from self. This lack of communication leads us to believe that we must not be worthy, that we are unlovable, that we are not good enough. These become our beliefs, and our life is run on a cycle of these limiting beliefs. That is when self sabotaging thoughts and actions become our identity. We reject our true self because we believe our true self must be defective, unworthy of love, as we've seen it reflected in the eyes of other people throughout our life. Little do we realize that others mirror back the worth we show them energetically, verbally, through our body language and actions. When we create and present a false self to gain love, adoration, appreciation, acceptance, validation from others, we lose our true self. We forget and reject our true identity, our authentic needs, desires, values, and preferences. This false self is the codependent identity, an inauthentic self created to win over other people. Codependency happens due to lack of self love. Now, codependency is a cluster of psychological and behavioral patterns that often develop in individuals who've grown up in dysfunctional families, experiencing oppression and childhood trauma. It is characterized by a lack of strong sense of self identity and an excessive focus on and reliance upon other people for a sense of self worth, direction, identity, and emotional safety. Codependent individuals tend to prioritize the needs and desires of others over their own, often neglecting their own well being in the process. This pattern of behavior can lead to unhealthy, imbalanced, and abusive relationships with narcissists. I go deeper into the behavioral patterns of childhood trauma survivors in the next chapter, but here are some telltale signs of codependency. Number one, excessive people pleasing. You constantly seek approval and validation from others, going to great lengths to make them happy, even at your own expense. Low self esteem. You have a persistent negative self image, feeling unworthy of or inadequate, relying on others to validate your self worth. Then, number three, difficulty setting boundaries. You struggle to establish and maintain healthy boundaries, often allowing others to overstep or violate your limits. Right? That's a big one. Violation of from others after repeatedly telling them to stop is a sign that we have difficulty standing up for ourselves and taking action when someone violates us. So, and we go deeper into this later in the book. Number four, fear of rejection. You have an intense fear of being rejected or abandoned, leading you to avoid conflicts and compromise your own needs to maintain relationships. Number five, lack of personal identity. You define yourself through your relationships with others. I'm a mom, I'm a coach, I'm a right wife, I'm a partner, I'm a right. So the roles define you. You lose touch with your own values, interests, and goals. Number six, enmeshment. You tend to merge your identity with others, feeling responsible for their emotions and well-being to an unhealthy extent. Number seven, caretaking. You have a strong compulsion to take care of others, sacrifice your own well-being in the process. Number eight, you have difficulty saying no. You find it challenging to say no, fearing that it will lead to conflict or rejection. Number nine, feelings of guilt, toxic guilt, and shame. You experience excessive guilt or shame when asserting your own needs or prioritizing self care. Number 10, passive aggressive communication skills. You struggle to express your own thoughts, feelings, and needs assertively, often avoiding confrontation or difficult conversations. Number 11, need for control. You have a tendency to try to control or fix others or help them, believing that your happiness depends on their well being. I'll be happy when they're safe or when they're happy or when, right? So, number 12, neglecting your own emotions. You prioritize the emotions and needs of others over your own, suppressing or dismissing your own feelings. Number 13, seeking external validation. You rely heavily on others for validation and seek constant reassurance to feel valued and accepted. Number 14, fear of abandonment. You have an overwhelming fear of being abandoned or left alone, causing you to cling to relationships even when they are unhealthy. Number 15, dependency on relationships. You feel incomplete or empty without a romantic partner, or close relationships may jump from one relationship to another without taking the time to heal or reflect. Number 16, avoidance of conflict. You go to great lengths to avoid conflict or disagreement, often sacrificing your own needs to maintain harmony in relationships. Number 17, extreme sensitivity to criticism. You are highly sensitive to criticism or perceived rejection, take it personally, internalize it as a reflection of your self worth. Number 18, hypervigilance or people reading abilities. You are skilled at reading others' emotions and needs, but struggle to recognize and address your own. Number 19, feeling responsible for others' happiness. You believe that you are responsible for others' happiness and well being, even when it is beyond your control. Number 20, neglecting self care. You constantly prioritize the needs of others above your own, neglecting self care activities that promote your own well being. Now, life of a codependent is a life without self-love and is often a life of quiet desperation. When we lack self-love, we tend to attract people who are in need of rescue. We subconsciously hope that by helping them, we will be chosen as the recipient of their love, admiration, and approval. This, we believe, will finally make us feel whole. However, when that validation does not come, we become people pleasers, working harder to gain their approval. In this pursuit, we ignore how poorly we are treated. We become addicted trying to win over abusive, mean, or neglectful people. We sacrifice our own dreams while becoming fixated on the hope and promise of breadcrumbs of affection and validation. This deepens our core wounds of not being enough, of not being worthy of love, and we turn to addictions, whether it's to people or substances or other distractions to numb the pain. By this stage, many of us are trauma bonded to narcissists who exploit our lack of self love. Without boundaries, we fail to distinguish between love and abuse, allowing manipulators to drain us of our energy. We overlook red flags, we minimize disrespect, and justify the abuse in the hope of recapturing the affection we once experienced during the love bombing phase of the relationship. The harder we try to manage the trauma bond, the more we focus on others, pulling us farther away from nurturing ourselves. We begin to blame, criticize, and punish ourselves, accepting crumbs of affection when we deserve a full, nourishing connection. Unable to speak our truth or ask for what we need, we harbor unspoken resentments that eventually manifest as guilt, shame, unexplained nervousness, flashbacks, anxiety, and depression. The cycle of self abandonment fosters conflict, chaos, and further addictions. Over time, life becomes lonelier, self confidence and self esteem wither, and we are left obsessing over others, reacting to them through a lens of fear, anger, and past trauma. This constant reactivity not only enables the abuser, but it also reinforces the cycle of abuse as our nervous system becomes addicted to the emotional highs and lows of a trauma bond. Now, codependency often fuels addictions in other forms, whether it's to the emotional highs and lows of a relationship, to substances, or to food. Addiction serves as a means to soothe, numb, distract from the deep emotional pain and confusion that arises from codependency. The constant search for external sources of love, safety, approval is due to a deep inner void that only self love can fill. Now, love addiction is a common and silent killer of those who lack self love. Let me say it again. Love addiction is, or addiction to people to get their love, is a common and silent killer of those who lack self love. Love addiction is a psychological condition characterized by an obsessive and compulsive need for love, romantic, and emotional connection in order to function. Individuals with love addiction tend to become excessively emotionally dependent on relationships or the idea of love, seeking validation, approval, and self worth through romantic partners. Love addicts may struggle to cope with the absence of a partner, often experiencing intense fear of abandonment, high separation anxiety, emotional roller coaster, and a persistent craving for the high associated with romantic love. Love addiction can have harmful and sometimes deadly consequences. It often manifests as highly anxious attachment, extreme emotional dependency on others, and an inability to function independently. The obsessive focus on a partner or the pursuit of romantic love can lead to serious neglect of self care, which in turn results in physical and mental issues like stress, anxiety, depression. This neglect of self in favor of romantic pursuits often causes a breakdown in other relationships, leading to social isolation and the loss of friendships. Additionally, love addiction can impair judgment, resulting in poor decision making skills, financial problems, further straining mental well being. Chronic anxiety, depression, and low self esteem perpetuate a cycle of self destructive behavior. Some love addicts may resort to substance abuse as a coping mechanism for their overwhelming emotions. They may also engage in risky sexual behavior or neglect their physical health, which increases the risk of sexually transmitted infections or unwanted pregnancies. In extreme cases, these behaviors can lead to suicidal thoughts or actions, deepening the spiral of emotional turmoil. Now, I have dedicated a whole chapter exploring the link between childhood trauma and addictions and explaining why developing self love is the answer and is crucial for recovery from love addiction and all other addictions. Addictions, prolonged stress, and emotional turmoil leads to physical consequences like chronic inflammation, and it wreaks havoc on our overall health, leading to deadly diseases such as diabetes, early onset dementia, heart disease, autoimmune diseases. Without the language of self love, the foundation of our spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health, safety, and stability is eroded, making it difficult to live authentically, care for ourselves, and build a healthy life and relationships. Now, the primary source of our life force is self love, but no one teaches us how to speak the languages of self love. And this is why I wrote the 5 self love languages so you can learn how to love yourself fully, deeply, and unconditionally. In this book, I will teach you how to speak the 5 languages of self love to elevate your life, to experience your divine, deeply authentic, rich, courageous you. You will notice that certain concepts are explained repeatedly in the book, and this is intentional. The 5 self love languages is the blueprint on becoming the source and the magnet of love and abundance. This book will guide you to nurture and create your future self abundant and whole. This book will guide you to nurture and create your future self abundant and whole. And together we will go on a healing and recovery journey. Our destination, self love. I will be your mentor and guide through this journey as I have undertaken this difficult journey and have shown many others on how to go on this journey of self love and reach to your destination. Let us begin. So now your job is to read the chapter that I just taught you and answer this prompt. Why do I need self love in my life? How have I suffered without self love in my life? And I'm looking forward to hearing your answers. And I'm looking forward to going on this journey with you together. Good luck. So do the work, and next time we will do the second chapter and so on. Good luck.